This is a video to give housing sector a little bit of advice pre doing anything regarding energy efficiency measures or carbon savings. There is an issue in market at the moment, and there has been for a long time, in terms of how your data is communicated to the energy providers. For the energy providers that are obligated by government's infrastructure to actually fund you at the best rate. Now, I have an issue with the way the energy companies are trying to communicate with housing sector, as they are communicating with you via their individual P&Ls rather than the point of their business models as energy companies to UK sustainability as group strategies with the focus of 2020. So this then contradicts a number of elements that they're trying to achieve in market. There are a lot of positives happening. However, the issue of going to a housing association and just wanting to look at what they can do in terms of their carbon savings is not the security that housing sector needs. They need a future, they need long-term planning. With the recent cuts, thank you very much to government, who didn't see the issue in terms of carbon emissions and the impacts that has to an economy, has obviously caused a two-pronged effect, and actually which creates a four-pronged effect on tax implications to the public, which is both people on both sides of the fence. And then you have organisations like HMRC, which are stuck in the middle trying to sort everything out, and they have headaches as well. So in going back to the housing associations, it'd be really, really good if you held off in terms of agreeing any form of contracts in market, whether you are doing that via a third party or whether you're doing that via a consultant or whether you're doing that, whatever way you're doing it, just hold off because it's at the moment it's not going to work, because the energy majors, what's happened is they every year they play this game. They play a chicken and egg game, and they wait to see which energy company is going to go first in terms of its trading to the pound per tonne rate, which isn't fair when you guys are struggling and you deserve to be paid your premium for the saving. It is not a money game. It is the point of saving carbon emissions and ensuring the full value of that carbon emission saving goes direct back into the organisation's hands that owns the data under the Data Protection Act 1998, the full value. It is then down to the housing association to decide who earns off that and whether they do or they don't. Because actually housing associations have their own procuring infrastructures to enable delivery for their small to medium enterprises that are under their net, which actually makes it nice and tidy. So while the energy companies have their own internal delivery teams and are going out in market at the moment and stating that they'll pay higher premium for those measures, is actually contradicting the point of a UK sustainability and does breach their corporate social responsibilities. So there has to be a little bit of give and take, and there has to be an effect that happens that you give the housing association a clear value of what it is that you're going to pay for their carbon, and not hide the 100 and something that's behind that on the line of the spreadsheet and only give out anything from the conversations I've had with the energy market, so between £20 up to anything up to £90, depending on how you're working it, whether you're doing funding only or whether you're doing internal delivery to bump up the prices. That's wrong. It's unfair, and it is causing a gap as well. So don't sit there as energy companies pointing your fingers at government and saying it's their fault. Don't point fingers at middle market and say it's their fault. You've got group strategies and you don't communicate internally, which is causing a problem for the people that actually, without them, data asset owners, you have no businesses. And that is a fact. So you need to start actually playing ball, and the ball is in their court at the moment. So it is frustrating for the number of business development managers that are rocking around and commercial managers that are rocking around for these energy companies at the moment. But until they understand how to communicate internally to make change happen, you ain't going to get anywhere. Because housing, now I'm out on this side of the fence, I'm letting them know what's what. Because my interest is carbon emissions, and what's not happening around that at the moment, because that's another much larger issue. And it really irritates me that there's money. There's money, a lot of money, and there's been a few people that have got wise to the loopholes that regulation have forgot to just literally #caveat to stop people profiting off housing sector. And I don't like that. I don't like to see the people that actually hold the biggest infrastructure in terms of vulnerable and fuel poor people being ripped off even further. So if anyone does have any questions, I am actually going to be cancelling my service provider and going completely onto Wi-Fi infrastructure, because that was the whole point of my business, as I've been, working myself through market at the moment, was to be able to be a zero emission business and do a lot of my discussions via Skype or FaceTime, preferably FaceTime, just purely because of the infrastructure and setup that I'm working on at the moment. So if you do want a conversation with me, my telephone number is 07434 959 497, and I will only speak to either supply or demand, no middle. Thanks.